Hello, everybody. This is David Rovix, and this is February in History and Song, which is basically a occasional, sometimes monthly, when I'm not touring too much, program that I'm doing here on the internet, which is just basically songs that I've written that are related to the month in question. If copyright laws were different and I knew what they were and could figure out how to deal with all that stuff and had more time and a better computer, then I'd probably do a show that included a lot of other people's music. But I'm pretty sure that I could get in trouble for doing that kind of thing, and I just haven't looked into all this stuff and figured out who's Creative Commons and whatever. So basically, I'm just doing songs I wrote related to different months and things that happened in history, either going way back or going back not far at all. And just while we're at it, I'm talking about the details. I'm going to do March in History and Song, but rather than doing it next month on the first Sunday, I'm going to do it on the second Sunday, and I'll have that up on my Spreaker page soon. But I'll be on tour in California at the end of February and the beginning of March, so I'll do it on the second Sunday. And of course, any of you in California, I hope to see you in February. I got a couple of dates free for other gigs. If anybody might want to organize something, it particularly would be cool to have one more gig somewhere in between Santa Barbara and San Francisco. And it would also be cool to have a gig around Humboldt County, if there's anybody listening in that area. And then I'll be in Europe, Great Britain, as they say. I think it's still called that. I don't know, England, Scotland, maybe Wales, depending on whether anything comes together there. I'll be in England and Scotland in April, and in May I'll be in Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, Norway, and Denmark and Sweden, perhaps also the Netherlands, if anything comes together there. And lots of room in all those countries if anybody else wants to book something. And lastly, the little commercial announcement I'll mention is if anybody really wants to support what I'm doing here, you are very welcome to go to davidrovix.com and click on the subscribe or donate buttons. And there's a chat room, as several people have just chimed in on the chat room. Hey, Paula, Liam, Hannah. So there's, I believe that means we're covered. We got 3 continents covered, as is generally the case, which is heartwarming. And anybody else wants to join the chat room, please do. It's always really interesting in there, and Paula is always giving more historical background to all the songs. So starting with actually not history at all, but right now, this year, today, which is also relevant to February, because it's February, I'll do a little, play a little song I just wrote yesterday, which I put up on YouTube as one of my iPhone broadsides, in the iPhone broadsides playlist now on YouTube, and soon to have some cool new banners that Kate Mara has been making of real news. And anyway, we'll get on with the song here. Here's a song about today. Basically, it's the Super Bowl is happening today, and Scarlett Johansson will be doing an advertisement for the corporation SodaStream, which has its main operation on a settlement in the occupied West Bank. And here's what I have to say about that.
There's a Hollywood star, there's the company, there's the Super Bowl, there's lots of money, there's the stolen land, there's the minimum wage, there's international law, there's the world stage, There's the ambassador. There's the rubbish bin. There's the big contract. There's which one wins. There's the settlements. There's a great big wall. There's the political prisoners. There's the ivory halls. There's the sugary water that fills your cup. But the truth keeps bubbling up. There's Captain America saving the day. There's the American starlet joining the fray. There's the bulldozed homes. There's the tanks in the streets. There's the little children covered in sheets. There's the sugary water that fills your cup. But the truth keeps bubbling up. There's the rivers of blood. There's the manicured hands. There's the fighter jets. There's the baby grands. There's the ancient trees. There's the stolen farms. There's the peaceful protests. There's the force of arms. There's the sugary water that fills your cup. But the truth keeps bubbling up. There's the ever-expanding Jewish state. There's the facts on the ground. There's the sealed fate. There's the kitchen appliance. There's the boycott. There's the haves. There's the have-nots. There's the sugary water that fills your cup. But the truth keeps bubbling up. Bubbling up. Bubbling up.
Of course, the issue that the BDS movement and other people trying to support the Palestinian cause have here is with many, many things. But one of them is the fact that it's stolen land. According to UN Resolution 242, it should all be given back to the Palestinians, and also there should be the right of return of all those refugees there to their homes, which is opening a company where you pay people a minimum wage, 500 Palestinians, basically $7 an hour, to make stuff in a factory for export. It is in no way reparations for the damage that's been done. And to say that these Palestinians, because they work in that factory, are somehow approving of the occupation is absolutely offensive and racist and otherwise totally messed up. But, that's we wouldn't expect much better from Hollywood stars or Israeli corporate spokespeople. But of course, moving on to history, which is also current, February 1st, 2002, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees expressed concern over the vilification of refugees in Australian society. Of course, the latest outrage in Australia is torturing refugees on boats as you're bringing them back to Indonesia, as the Australian Navy is bringing them back to Indonesia. And in case you didn't hear about the Australian Navy's new policy of torturing refugees, you can read about that online, on the BBC, in fact, as well as elsewhere.
My father's mother's parents came here on a boat. They came from a land of kings and queens, but on the wrong side of the moat. My father's parents came here on one too. They didn't want to leave Austria, but it was the thing for Jews to do. I don't know your story, but I'll bet it's more or less the same. What kind of war or famine was on when your family came before their ship arrived? Did your folks come here to discover and explore, or were they refugees running from the war? Did they cross the freezing mountains to make it to the sea, all the while wishing that they never had to flee? Were they marched across the jungles with chains around their feet, nearly dying of exhaustion in the desert heat before their ship arrived? Did they make a life here, or were they kidnapped and detained, held for years in limbo as their optimism waned? Were they turned down for asylum and told they shouldn't lie, then sent off to be tortured, sent back home to die? Did they get to move here, create their lives anew? Or are they held on Christmas Island, asking what on earth they can do before their ship arrived? Before their ship arrived.
I imagine some of you might be hearing a delay in when the song ends and when my voice comes on, and that's because my computer is messing up again. Even though I have nothing else open on the screen other than Spreaker, it seems to be overwhelming the poor thing. So, well, and so everything's getting delayed. Okay, I'm going to get a new computer sometime soon. I always say that, though. So anyway, February 3rd, moving on to other dates in February. February 3rd, 1788 was the last battle of Shays' Rebellion, which was a rebellion of tenant farmers in western Massachusetts here in the U.S., during which time they pretty much took over half the state for 3 years, and the courts couldn't function and evictions couldn't happen. The farmers were getting evicted who had fought in the Revolutionary War and had been away fighting and couldn't tend to their farms, and so the landlords, same landlords that had owned the land forever, well, for a couple hundred years anyway, 150 years or so, were evicting them from their land because they couldn't pay the rent, and this perturbed them to no small extent, and they took over the state and shut down all the courts. And eventually, the militia was able to get in and restore order, as they say. But the Bill of Rights was soon passed in direct response to this rebellion. It was called Shays' Rebellion. It wasn't really led by Daniel Shays, but he was the highest-ranking officer in the Revolutionary, in the Continental Army, who was involved with the rebellion, and so they called themselves Daniel Shays rebels to basically just have more credibility. But it was very much a collective effort.
I was raised in Massachusetts on the farm where I was born. Ever since I was a young lad, to the fields I was sworn. Before our corn could go to market, it was stolen from the mill and sent to Mother England from here in the Berkshire Hills. So when I heard there'd be a rising, I put on a uniform, slept barefoot in the mud beneath thunderstorms. In war there is no glory, just friends and comrades killed, shattered lives and broken homes here in the Berkshire Hills. In the Continental Army, the years dragged on and on. With the French, we fought the Redcoats, so many people dead and gone. Ticonderoga, they surrendered. We had won this test of wills, and those of us left alive came back here to the Berkshire Hills. Then began the nightmare all over once again. Revolutions, debtors' prisons filled with good, upstanding men. We said to hell with King John Adams. Of this farce we'd had our fill, and we set our sights on liberty here in the Berkshire Hills. Couldn't function, their judges on the run. Each new day we had our farms was a victory we'd won. For years we kept our land, held our ground until we made our last stand by Great Barrington here in the Berkshire Hills. My name is Daniel Shays, and I'm speaking to you now. If I fought a revolution, maybe you can tell me how. I was born a poor man, and I'm a poor man still. Bury me beneath the hemlock here in the Berkshire Hills.
And on the same date, February 3rd, in 2003, members of a newly formed group known as the Pit Stop Plowshares trespassed onto Shannon Airport in Ireland and damaged a U.S. military cargo ship. And in the trial that took place afterwards, they were actually found not guilty, which the same thing has also happened in New Zealand after the Waihopai attack on, damaged after the Plowshares activist, including a priest, took pickaxes to $1 million CIA spy base in Waihopai. The spy base itself was worth a lot more than $1 million, but the bubble that sort of contained the thing, which is very fragile, but needed to be a bubble, was popped. Same kind of thing happened in England when folks damaged some ships that England was shipping or selling to Indonesia in order to facilitate Indonesia's massacres of civilians in East Timor and elsewhere. That in all three cases, people were found not guilty, and I happened to be doing a benefit gig for the Pit Stop Plowshares in Dublin, actually the day before the verdict in their trial, and they were all there, and it was a wonderful, wonderful event there. And then the next day, as I was driving from Dublin to the next gig, I can't remember where, I heard on RTE that they had all been found not guilty, and they were all. I guess they all knew this was a possibility, but they were basically all preparing to go to prison and didn't need to prepare to go to prison anymore. So here's a song for all those wonderful Plowshares activists around the world, whether found guilty or not guilty.
Come on, fire!
Hey, Roger. Keep shooting.
I watched it on the TV. Machine guns fired towards the ground. I watched the people run. Helicopter gunship strafing the street. I watched them lining up the bodies in the Baghdad heat. They say these leaks had consequences, and I must agree. When I saw them fire on the children, it affected me. I thought, what if I were wearing the other shoe? If I had a hammer, what would I do? I am just a person, like anyone. I am just another mother's son. I have no special powers. I cannot fly, not like that helicopter gunship up in the sky, sending all those bullets all around to the journalists and children on the ground. I am just one man, that's very true. But if I had a hammer, what would I do? Sometimes I try to wonder, why should I care? But then the answer seems so obvious. There are people down there. And right here in Queensland, there's an army base. And there's a helicopter gunship just sitting in place. There's a time for watching. There's a time to act. It's just gonna kill more children if it remains intact. I am just one person, but you are too. And if you had a hammer, what would you do? If you had a hammer, what would you do?
And on February 4th, 1998, the richest man on Earth, Bill Gates, visited Belgium and got a pie in the face, served up by none other than the Belgian contingent of the international terrorist organization known as the Biotic Baking Brigade.
I don't know if there's any pie throwers in the audience. Yeah? Planning on throwing any pies? I think there'll be some pie throwing going on in D.C. in the next... I don't know if there will be. I guess they got those places pretty heavily guarded, but I know Dave will be down there, so you never know what'll happen. But the president of the International Monetary Fund got hit with a pie in the face several weeks ago in Bangkok. And up in New Hampshire, they got the genetic engineer Neil First. Dave Pike did that. Or, no, Creamy Jeans is his name, Agent Creamy Jeans. And they got Charles Hurwitz out in California, the mayor of San Francisco, and a whole bunch of other people that really desperately deserved pies in the face, or probably a lot more. So I wrote a song for the Biotic Baking Brigade, and I hope you all sing along with me. If you don't know the words, you know you'll pick them up by the second chorus or so. See the man in his limousine, in his tie and well-pressed shirt, hoping that he's not been seen on the lookout for dessert. He knows that he is guilty, and a visit might be paid by the vegan vigilantes of the Biotic Baking Brigade. What's that sailing through the air in the boardroom? See them shiver. You can spend your life hoping for pie in the sky, but the baking brigade delivers. There's the chorus. If you sell your city's soul to the landlord's greedy pack, you, my friend, have earned yourself a tasty pastry snack. You can call yourself a liberal and hope your crimes will fade, but your sellout soul will be exposed by the Biotic Baking Brigade. What's that sailing through the air in the boardroom? See them shiver. You can spend